Another year, another T1 in finals at Worlds, which I know for some people might be a little bit much. But in reality, if you want the best to be knocked off, you got to beat them in the moment where it counts. And that's where Casey has the chance to do so. But today we are overreacting to your takes from the community around World semifinals, around the LCS roster meeting. I haven't listened to any of the takes yet, so I'm assuming there might be something, but I do have one of my own to add here at the jump. And that is, I don't want to overreact, but we are going to have the official North American T1 Worlds Finals watch party here in New York City at OSNYC this upcoming Sunday at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yes, you heard that right. I talked to Joe Marsh. He's working on sending out some merchandise for us to give away at the event. I'm also going to be giving away, where is it at? The World's Unlocked mouse that was here that they gave away with the World's Unlocked box that's sitting over on the shelf. We're going to have drink raffles and giveaways and a whole bunch more. So if you are in the New York City area, even if you're thinking of coming out, or like if you live in like DC, Boston, you want to come down for a weekend, go ahead and do so. Now, the thing I would tell people is that the last time we did this back in Worlds 2023, we did hit capacity before game one ended. So we weren't able to let anybody else in at that point. So what I would say is OS is notably having a event up until midnight. After that, you'll be able to start going in. I will be there right around midnight, maybe shortly after, probably filming content and doing a bunch of other stuff at OS as well. So get there early. I cannot guarantee that you will get a spot if you come after like game one or game two, just based on historical precedent of this event. But it is entirely free. There's no registration, nothing you need to worry about. Just show up, bring your friends, have a good time, and possibly take some T1 stuff home with you. Anyways, that's my I don't want to overreact, but out of the way, let's hear yours. I think Healy was the first one, so let's click on this and see what he's got.
Ni hao, Healy here. I don't want to overreact, but League is entering its second golden era. We are living it. We are experiencing it. The only thing that can stop League right now is its own fans. We need to get out of our own way. We need to get out of Riot's way. And we need to appreciate what is happening. Every other day I'm seeing people bitch, oh, the winter map isn't snowy enough. Oh, Swiss isn't perfect. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, oh, that. Enjoy the fucking game, or don't play the fucking game. Goodbye in Chinese.
Not putting in the same work as Dokla to learn the language. Ah, man, it's very American of us, ain't it? Look, I entirely agree. I think we went through that rough period. How long ago was it since the cinematic got delayed? Was that 2023 or 2022? It was 2023 because the call was the big one, and then they came back, was still here in 2024. But I definitely think we are entering like our second wave. Positivity around the game outside of like what we will talk about here in a second very much is increasing. Like it seems like people that are playing the game are having more fun than they have before. It is just odd, like at least from an esports front, that like we kind of are like dying as a product. Like the perception with North America, at least on the esports side, is in contrast to how positive things are going for the game as a whole. The esports seems to be growing. I don't know if there's a correlation between T1 making finals like all these times in a row, and then back in the prime, T1 making finals all these times in a row. But maybe there is at this point. I don't freaking know. Maybe that just inspires people to play the game, which is why esports is such a good marketing tool. But as its base, or like at a base level, yeah, I would definitely say people need to learn to just enjoy the moment and enjoy what we got, because I feel like social media, especially in the last like 3 to 4 years, has become, actually I'd extend that to like 5, because I know we had issues with this post-COVID. Social media has just become increasingly negative. Like the negative stuff gets way more traction than anything positive. So even though it feels for sure like we are having this second renaissance, there are people that are way louder than ever before that will come out here and tell you that things suck, that they're not as good as they used to be, that this should be better, this is worse, like 20 billion things going on at the same time. And me personally, I try my best to kind of like shut them out. If there's people that I notice that are being overly negative, I'll be honest with you, I mute you. On Twitter, I mute you like literally anywhere I go, because it's not me trying to live in a false reality necessarily. Like I know the negativity's out there, but I'll see it naturally without the perpetual people that are, constantly spewing shit out there. So I think 100% people need to just get off the internet more. Like that's my thing, which is odd because like obviously we're a video game and we're going to be online. So like a lot of this forum is naturally going to be reflective of where social media is at the current moment, which is increasingly toxic and negative and critical of everything. But the reality is there are so many positive things. So if you feel like you're being consumed by that, just take a step back. Maybe get off of Twitter for a bit. Enjoy the game. Talk with your friends. If you have friends that are incredibly negative and contributing to that, maybe consider, not cutting them out, or at least having the conversation with them saying, hey, how about you enjoy it? Like if you're sitting here playing League 24/7 and you're complaining about it, maybe you need to stop playing the game. Maybe you need to step away. If you are enjoying it, but they're still bitching about it, maybe think about how you talk and have that conversation. Because even though it's a difficult one, it's worth having, because it's very difficult to grow a community that is just perpetually negative. But I do think it's not necessarily a vocal minority. It's a little bit more than a minority when it comes to League of Legends. But it still isn't the majority of the player base. The majority of the player base just goes in, plays their games, and has their fun. Or flames their teammates in ranked. One of the two. Thank you for the take, though, Healy. Next up, we got Radley. Radley, what do you got for me, brother?
I don't want to overreact, but Team Liquid, if they assemble the super team that we're all expecting, Inspired Jungle, Quid Mid, Yon ADC, and Core JJ support, will look exactly the same as they did with Bwipo, Centauran, Bjergsen, Hansama, and Core JJ. They have the recipe for success, the best players in each role from the prior year. As well, Cloud9 will look like the second strongest team going into the next season, only to have both them and TL be beaten out by some dark horse team heading into first stand. The team that will win will continue to look like a mid team and then continue to win the playoffs in preparation for MSI and Worlds.
I honestly think this is a very fair take. Like, it's one of the big worries that I do have with like this TL super roster, specifically with Inspired joining the team. You have these two massive carry players, these two massive like individuals in Quid and Yawn. Okay. And while Core JJ kind of has been like this pressure relief valve to a certain extent for Team Liquid teams in the past, there is this expectation that he steps up and like does a lot. The thing that I worry about with Inspired coming into this roster, as good of a mechanical player as he is that whoever you get for top needs to be able to just let off some steam from this roster and just be able to be it's not even weak side, because realistically you can't have a team that just dominates every lane and wins every game. But I think personality wise, when I'm looking at things beyond the Rift, Quid is a guy that plays his best in a relaxed environment. I don't know if Inspired necessarily brings that like to Team Liquid. And Team Liquid already is like a very like amplified environment, at least from the outside in perception. What I've always seen of TL is like, hey, we're going to work harder. We are this. We have this culture. We have this set. It's like, do they have the ability to sometimes just go on vibes? Like, play well, obviously prep, but like, hey, vibe check. How we doing? We having fun? Are we not being overly critical at times where it might be out of our control, or where we recognize that, yeah, we are weaker and need to work our way there, but it's not like too much burden on the shoulders. Like that's the only thing that worries me with Team Liquid. It's the thing that worries me with Quid, but anywhere Quid goes, it's going to be way more elevated pressure than 100 Thieves, so this will be a new environment for him. I'm just thinking about, for Team Liquid, how do you avoid that 2022 situation? Because you are at risk of doing the same thing. We are back to this era of Team Liquid, at least rumored, reportedly, that they are going to be bringing in a super squad in some way, shape, or form. And that historically has kind of failed without Double Lift on TL. Like, it's just the truth. Unironically, the squad that won them games included APA, which most people will say is a pretty significant downgrade to Quid in today's landscape, even though that wasn't the case at the time whenever he did win. Quid was still struggling at points. But I have faith in Quid to pop off and perform incredibly well, especially after his Worlds. The C9 one is interesting because they, as of right now, like so far as we know, are keeping the squad together, and it's just a slight coaching change, which I actually think could be a really good thing going into next year, assuming they can get over some of these mental hurdles. Because one thing, as the take noted, is that we have had this issue over the last 2 years. Well, even beyond that, I'd say even when 100 Thieves won in 2021, this was still relevant. EG kind of fell off in 2022 as well. 100 Thieves weren't able to contend. It feels like our best teams tend to collapse really hard at the end of summer. And I don't know if that's because we have issues pacing ourselves, if that's expectations rising and we just as a region are not doing a good job of meeting the moment of those expectations and making sure that we can stay grounded and real with what is going to lie ahead. I don't know. I don't know what causes this, but it continuously happens every single year. So I think it's valid to worry about it. But on paper, you still want to put your best foot forward. And when you look at this Team Liquid rumored roster so far, or assuming Inspired does pick them, it looks pretty damn good. It's just personality-wise, I think that top lane slot is going to be very, very important. I would rather have Dokla there because I think he's exactly what is needed in that situation, even if Inspired might want you to import somebody. I think it's a difference in dichotomy between what's needed in game and what's needed in the locker room. And I worry that there will be a potential locker room issue. But we don't know. We're all shooting at straws, and that this could entirely change as roster mania goes on. The only things that are set are Core JJ, Quid, and Yawn. That's it. From there, we'll see as we go. But I do love the take. Up next, Aaron. Aaron, what do you got for me, brother?
Hey, Shauna. It's Primus here.
Hey.
Still only my skin, by the way. Sorry.
I will do that after this video.
But my take is this. I don't want to overreact, but Gen G is going to go down as, assuming they never get their world championship, as the Dan Marino of esports. Always very good. Same with Chovy. Chovy's going to be in that, is basically going to be Dan Marino. Fantastic regular season player, has all the accolades and everything you can want, but he doesn't get the ring. And at this point, I don't know if he ever will. Like, there just seems to be something missing with Chovy. When the lights are the brightest, he just doesn't seem to show up. He got outclassed by BDD in that series versus KT. So that's my take. I think Gen G is going to be the Dan Marino Dolphins, and Chovy himself is Dan Marino. That's my hot take. Peace out. Keep up the good work.
Will do, brother. I am very well aware that most of you do not know sports, so let me explain to you who Dan Marino is. Dan Marino was I understand that most of you do not know traditional sports, so let me explain to you who Dan Marino is. Dan Marino was the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, went to the University of Pittsburgh, and was one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks that we have ever seen in our lifetime. Like, dead serious. He goes down. Tom Brady is obviously the GOAT that most people have heard about, but he was incredible. MVP of the league. I don't know how many All-Pros. I don't know how, All-Pros. You name all of it. Like, every accolade that he could possibly get, he got, barring a Super Bowl win. That was the one thing he couldn't do the entire time for whatever reason. And it's that thing that hangs over his head and his career, but we still don't question that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to have ever played the game. Fun fact, my parents actually grew up in Pittsburgh, graduating class like 4 years apart. I think my dad said he got to watch Dan Marino whenever he was at Central Catholic. Was it Central Catholic? I think it was Central Catholic that Dan Marino went to for high school. My parents went really close by, so I believe they got to see him when growing up. And you just got to watch how spectacular of a talent he was. In the same way that we're all blessed to get to watch Chovy consistently. Like, his LCK performances are dominant. His MSI performances are fantastic. But there is clearly a mental block when it comes to Chovy and this team in general at Worlds. And for the longest time, you could sit here and be like, okay, there were series where Chovy played well and his team collapsed around him. That's no longer the case. Okay, this Worlds, this series, Chovy didn't play well. Got solo killed by BDD. BDD was just way, way, way more impactful than him in this series. BDD looking like one of the best players in this entire tournament, if not the best. I know that's a contested point from a lot of people. I think finals will go a long way to settling that once and for all. But for the Chovy point, yeah, we've officially entered that territory. And I'm sorry, I do agree with the Joe Marsh philosophy on this of when you've gotten everything else, what matters? Worlds. Like, if you think Chovy wouldn't trade those 2 MSI titles for a Worlds title, you're kidding yourself. You're lying. And that shows the importance of this event, regardless of any gripes that you might have with it. It is the pinnacle of our esports. And failing to be able to capture that trophy, especially when you were favored coming into this tournament so heavily especially over the last few years, where he's had very realistic chances to do it. And to fail at the same mark, to not even make finals. Like, that's the odd part about all this. If it was him getting to finals and failing there, like, you could make, oh, it's the brightest lights merchant. I don't know what is happening in semifinals here, whether that's coaching or beyond, that the whole thing just collapses around it. And I know, look, ask anybody that has ever played a sport, when you hit those mental blocks that are unexplainable as to why you are trying to overcome this issue, like you need sports psychologists, you need so much more to be able to overcome these hurdles. It takes a long time to get rid of whatever like wall you've built up in these moments. Now, the good thing for Chovy is that I think we've got many, many more years of him playing League of Legends. And I think he will play well beyond after Faker retires, obviously. So, he should be fine. But then again, it's not like he lost to Faker here. He lost to KT and PDD. So, like, it's not like it's just Faker standing in his way. Like, it's him. It is his own mental. It is his ability to overcome whatever hurdle he's got here. Do I think he's going to take one? I would like to think he would at some point. Like, you want him to. Like, you want to see the greats do it. But if he does go down as the Dan Marino of our sport, I mean, it's a fantastic story nevertheless. Like, I know people will be upset by that. But the truth is, that's going to happen in some sports. And honestly, I'm fine with it. Dan Marino was a great quarterback in the NFL. And Chovy's a great mid laner in League of Legends, regardless of whether he does win Worlds or not. I've got one take from Discord that came in late last week. I was not able to get it on the show, but I promised him I would have it for this week. Sean, what is your audio take, brother? What do you got to say?
I don't mean to overreact, but I think Dignitas already have the biggest move of the LCS by getting Jonathan as their GM. A rising tide raises all ships, and for a while, Dignitas has been an anchor to the ship that is the LCS. Better competition, better ingredients. Papa John's.
I appreciate a good Papa John's reference anytime you can. Their garlic breadsticks, by the way, just peak. Like, of all fast food takes, like, I get the pizza might be better at Pizza Hut or Domino's, depending on who you ask and how much garlic they like on it, but the garlic breadsticks themselves at Papa John's, the single best like pizza related fast food item that you can get at all. If you haven't had them, do it, try it. Just don't plan on kissing anybody afterwards, because your breath's gonna smell like garlic real bad. I do think that Jonathan being picked up by Dignitas is massive and hopefully a turning point for this brand. The problem that I have with it is that Bakery is still like involved with the org, is still technically sitting above and pulling all the strings, even if he's not the direct general manager. Will this open up opportunities for players to come in and hopefully be more consistent with the roster building, be consistent with what they can do? Maybe, but like we have no reason to believe otherwise. I love Jonathan. I love him as an individual. If he went to any other org, I'd be sitting here singing the high praises until the end of time. But I just think Dignitas has a ton of internal problems that they got to work out, and they do all tend to come back to Bakery. And I don't know if maybe him in a different position, maybe that will allow him to succeed, separate from what has happened right now. Maybe this could all turn around. But my biggest thing with Dignitas, I'm not going to lie to you, still is that name. Like, I know you have a lot of history tied to the Dignitas brand, but you can't have a brand that when I search it, it's going to lead to a Swedish nonprofit for assisted, offing yourself. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not going to work. You are limiting yourself from the jump. You have taken out one of your legs. You can still run, but like the brand potential feels like it will always be capped. And I don't know what you do with that. And no, like, even if Dig performs incredibly well, I just think the reach on social media is going to be limited. People have built-in perceptions of Dignitas that unless this goes like really, really well and sustains that for a long period of time, I'm not sure if that turns around anything. It might lift the anchor up slightly from where it was, but I'm just scared. Like, I have zero reason to trust Dignitas at the moment. I want to. I mean, hell, they're the local team here. They belong to the New Jersey Devils and are owned by like that group. Sylvix is involved with content. They put out some great skits. Like, it's not like there aren't good things with this brand, but it never comes into full relevancy for whatever reason. They're not Jin Air that gets this lovable, hey, we suck, but we still put out fun things for the community to build around. I don't know many Dignitas fans that aren't just fans of I'm a Cutie Pie from way back when. So I got to see what they do to start building a fandom, because just performing on the Rift, as we've seen in years past, assuming Jonathan does well there, is not going to be enough for me to deem this as a success for the brand. But Jonathan is a massive step towards that. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they won the offseason because of that. But I love the take, Sean. I do. Thank you. I just don't have the same faith that you do, even though I do like it. All right, final take of the night is a Hotline League staple. Some of you know him as Wrath of Khan. Some of you know as CLG Wraith, I think used to be his Reddit thing before he changed it. Khan, what do you got for me, brother?
I don't want to overreact, but KT is on a Samsung White style run. They're in the finals now with one loss, just like Samsung White was all the way back in Season 4. Their opponents in the group stage / Swiss stage were a European team, a LCP team, and a Chinese team, just like Samsung White's group was a Chinese team, an LMS team, and a Turkish team. They have proven themselves just to be a very strong team. And as much as people are trying to make this out into a crazy upset against Gen G this last weekend, KT, if you look at the record of Gen G's opponents in the LCK, is the team that has performed the best against them. Yes, does Gen G still own a very big record head-to-head against them? Yes, but they're even the team that has played Gen G better in the LCK more than even T1 did there. They beat Gen G just in September. This wasn't this big crazy upset, and I think KT is on their way to having one of the most impressive Worlds runs ever, and we're should be so excited to be getting a Telecom War Final at Worlds, because I think this is going to be the most watched finals ever, period. Two gigantic fan bases that have been around for a very, very long time, and KT's first chance to win Worlds. Sign me up for a big night next Sunday night. Or Sunday morning.
You know, I feel like somewhere Laura is just going to like pop out and just beat you over the head with some sort of plushie at this point for trying to get excited in any way, shape, or form over KT. But I do agree. Now, granted, I wasn't around during the Samsung White days, so I can't sit here and tell you that like I fully am able to relate that comparison. Like I'm able to see the similarities between the two. I only know Worlds 2017 and beyond. But I'll be honest with you, I think people are real. Like, I understand why we wrote off KT after the Swiss stage. You look at their opponents relative to what AL got, it was a pretty night and day difference. And it was clear that, like, it felt like AL was a little bit stronger going into this stage. But now that we've seen them beat the team that honestly this is the biggest hurdle for them to overcome to be validated in this moment, because even though they did take that series off them in the upper bracket of the LCK playoffs, they did get the shit kicked out of them in that bottom or the losers bracket. So to win here and win convincingly, like they look good the entire series. If you don't believe me, because I know there were some people that are like, oh, Gen G looked bad. That KT just looked good. Like, go watch Dom, go watch Kadro. If you don't believe me, go listen to them. And if you're sitting here saying, oh, you know, I'm not even going to entertain that. I'm not giving in to community narratives like that, at least on this particular point. Look, I agree that I think this is probably going to be the most watched final of LoL esports history. My prediction that I said before this tournament was if T1 was involved, we could hit 7.2 million concurrent. And that could happen. I think that's still like a lot. Like that'd be double what we've seen so far in this tournament in terms of peak. But it's Worlds Finals and it just carries this aura to it. There's this whole media week that we're about to kick off on leading up to it. We got the press day, I think Thursday or Friday later this week, where everybody's going to be fielding different questions. John Needham, Chris Greeley, the whole crew are going to be there. We'll get information about just LoL esports in general. I don't know if they'll make announcements for next year. Like, now's when the spectacle and the hype begins leading up to the biggest day of the year all year. And the fact that it is going to be a telecom war of all matchups is insane. Now, I know T1 has historically won the telecom wars, at least with this generation, pretty heavily. But I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm not looking at this KT roster and saying, yeah, They're on a heater right now. When you get hot in a tournament, that overrides your historical performance. I don't care how T1 looked at MSI. I don't care how either of these teams looked during the LCK summer split, spring, whatever it might be. All that matters to me is how you are performing right now, in the moment, in this tournament, but also how you can live up to the pressure of finals. And only one team has been there, and that's T1. But if there's a team that's just on good vibes, and honestly, I think the expectation and pressure is going to be off their shoulders. Like, even though they are playing better this tournament overall than T1 was, excluding the last two best of fives, I still think the pressure is on T1's shoulders to try and go for the three-peat with Doran in that moment. We've never seen Doran in a finals like this. All right, so this is a new moment for him, even if the other four on the roster are still performing. I think this is going to be so much closer than people give it credit for. I'm saying a full 5 games because I've seen enough bangers between these two, and I think with the elevated stakes, there will be mistakes that are made on the Rift. There will be plays that are extremely good and extremely bad that we sit here and we laugh, but we also massively cheer for. It's just going to be a telecom war elevated to the highest stakes that we've ever seen. And I agree with Khan. It's going to be incredibly entertaining. KT should be getting their flowers. Even if I understand that people are going to try and downplay KT a little bit because of the whole don't get excited for KT thing. But the truth is, there is a reason to get excited for this matchup, okay? We've been blessed with the second best storyline we could possibly get, besides like the Faker, Chovy, Genji versus T1. And this feels more fitting, like it's actually going to be a banger series. And I don't know if anybody's necessarily going to collapse in the way that you would possibly expect otherwise. Mentally, it feels like going into this, it does to a certain extent feel like a DRX versus T1 type thing. But the wild thing is, DRX in 2022 came from the play-in stage as the 4 seed. And that's where T1's coming from. So weirdly enough, T1's weirdly on the DRX arc this year, rather than KT, who come in as just, it's weird to say that KT's the higher seed and like the bigger favorite coming into this. But if you're looking at the tournament, they kind of are, even if that contradicts what I just said prior. Like, gameplay on the Rift alone, yeah, you look at KT and you'd be like, yep, no, that looks pretty good at the moment. It's just who's been in this moment and the elevated stakes, and you just simply don't bet against T1. And I think that's where I have to end it, because I'll be honest with you, I can't bet against T1 in this position. Like, even if I was biased. He says as he's wearing a T1 jacket hosting the T1 North American watch party. Yeah, I'm biased as shit. I'm not going to try and dupe you in any way, shape, or form. But nevertheless, it's Worlds Finals week, folks. Enjoy the ever-living crap out of this, because the narratives, the headlines, the stories, and so much more are a blast this entire week. Thanks for everybody that submitted takes. Thanks for another episode of I Don't Want to Overreact, but, and if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Drop a like down below. And be sure next time, I don't know if I'm going to do one next week. I think I'm going to save this for a bit because the amount of takes that I get for this aren't really all that much. And these call-in shows are very dependent on getting many different takes. And this is the thing that I was worried about with doing a show like this, is I don't want it to just be the same people giving the same takes and everything else. Like, it has to be unique and interesting. And I'm already feeling that 2 weeks in. So when this series is appropriate to have around, I promise you I will have it around. When that will be next, I do not know. I'll keep you posted. Thank you all for watching.